Hi there, here I am again, Steve, talking about languages, talking about my Korean challenge. And by the way, if you enjoy these podcasts, please subscribe. And today I want to talk about this issue of, fluency, becoming fluent versus this sort of intermediate level that I said the other day was a very valid level to achieve in a language. So how do I sort of reconcile the fact that I strive for fluency? That's what I want to achieve. I don't want to just be able to say, hello, how are you? My name is. I actually want to get to this level of fluency. And yet I'm happy to call it mediocre in some of my languages. So there would almost appear to be a contradiction here. So let me explain further how I feel on this. To me, I think fluency is B2 on the European scale. So for those of you who don't know, there's 6 levels. B2 is the 4th level. I think 5 and 6, or C1 and C2, are sort of mastery. Okay, that fluency is something less. And fluency can be sort of, because we have speaking and writing and listening and reading, so you can be at that B2 level. You can even be a C1 level in terms of reading, let's say. Or some people are the other way around, they speak better. So that doesn't mean that we're equally strong in all aspects of our language skills. But typically, I find that if I have very good, say, listening and comprehension skills, even if my speaking skills are not so good, if I get enough of an opportunity to use the language, my speaking skills will catch up. So if we have the right attitude and put in the time, if we can be ahead in some skills, and if we put more effort into those other skills, they'll come back up to that level. So I think that, and from that point of view, if I have, let's say, B2 skills in, I'll give you an example. I went out with my wife and my son and daughter-in-law and one of our grandchildren. We went to dinner, and seated beside us was these 2 couples, and they were speaking Polish. And I was just delighted to hear Polish. I haven't heard live people, face-to-face, sort of people speaking Polish. So, of course, I tried to tell them that I had studied Polish, and of course, I could understand what they were saying. But I was totally tongue-tied. Couldn't say a thing because I've been focusing on Korean. But I still consider myself to be kind of a weak intermediate in Polish, at least potentially. Because if I had even a day of speaking Polish, my Polish could come up. However, all the effort that I've put into Polish, listening and reading and the conversations on Skype, all of that I'm very happy with. And it doesn't bother me that my attempt to say very much ended up in failure. It doesn't bother me at all, because potentially I know that I can improve. So my goal is to achieve this fluency, this ability not only to listen and read, but also eventually to speak in the language at a B2 level. But when I do that, for example, Russian, I recently did a video on Russian here, and I hadn't been speaking Russian, and so people quickly pointed out that, your endings are worse than they were before and stuff. Well, that's fine. I don't mind that. And then maybe if I speak a while, they'll get better. So that's kind of my take on that. So I'm not a perfectionist. Like in Japanese, people talk about pitch in Japanese. I don't even know what they're talking about. I've never even heard it. I communicate fine. I did a video and I said watashi wa, and people told me no one says watashi. Someone said, I know I don't have to, listen to this guy because he says watashi instead of watashi. When I lived in Japan, I think I heard watashi more than watashi. Maybe not. So it's watashi. It doesn't matter. All these little things. What was it they talk about in Russian? Something about palliative consonants or something. I don't even know what they're talking about. I think when I started speaking Russian again, I think говорить, I think I said more like говорить, as in Polish, rather than говорить, because I had been listening or had been doing a lot of Polish. Doesn't matter to me. So that my goal is fluency. I won't achieve mastery. I'll achieve sort of the ability to understand a lot and the ability to communicate effectively when given enough opportunity to do so. That's sufficient. And so that's intermediate, in my opinion. Now, obviously, if you're working in the language, if I were living in Poland and had to work there and had to send out letters in Polish that represented my company, then I would have to achieve a much higher level. But for me, in terms of what I need from these languages, this mediocre, call it intermediate, plenty of mistakes, understand, can communicate, if given enough opportunity to get warmed up, that's good enough. So I hope that clarifies the possible contradictions between sort of intermediate and fluency. And look forward to your comments as usual. And don't forget to subscribe. Bye for now.